Okay, we're going to look at editing abstract imagery, and this will hopefully give you some ideas not just for the editing process, but also for the initial photography process. So this image here is actually a long exposure shot of a record spinning on a record player. And I've zoomed in close just to capture the record and the spindle. So this image is already quite abstract, but we'll take it further. And we can do this by adding a black and white adjustment. Okay, and as we can see, even without any adjustments so far, it's given the image a very distinctive look. We can further accentuate this by reducing the red tones, and that will enhance the contrast between the outer parts of the record here and the inner part. So next then, if we have a look at the spindle, we'll see it's rather soft. So what we'll do is sharpen that up and draw a bit more attention to it as well. And we'll do this by using a live high-pass filter. So we want to select the background pixel layer, and I'll show you why, because when we go in and add the high-pass filter, it nests into that pixel layer. So on the dialog here, we want a radius of, say, 10 or so pixels, check monochrome, and then we can close that dialog. Now what we're going to do is select the high pass layer, and we're going to invert its mask. So we can go to layer and invert. And we're simply going to paint the effect back on just over the spindle here. So if I grab the paintbrush tool, reduce the hardness, increase the width, and across on the color panel here, I want to make sure my active color is set to white. So that is going to paint back onto the layer mask. And then all I do is just paint over the spindle. It doesn't have to be exact. There we go, that will do. And the final step here is to set the correct blend mode in order to sharpen and accentuate this spindle. So on the blend mode dialog here, we can set the blend mode to linear light. And there we go. If I just hide that layer, you'll be able to see it's very subtle, but it simply adds a bit of contour to the edges here and helps the spindle stick out. So the next step is to add some noise. And when I say add noise, I just mean as a bit of texture for a creative effect. Now let's say we want the noise layer to be above the black and white adjustment, but as we've seen here, live filter layers automatically nest into the selected layer. So there's one way around this, which is to go to select and deselect layers. That then ensures that any type of layer we add, it's not just a live filter layer, will be at the top of the layer stack. So if I go to layer, new live filter layer, and add noise, there we go, it's at the top there. So we'll add about 20% noise intensity. Okay, and finally, just to finish this off, we'll add a curves adjustment. Okay, and all we're going to do here is lift the absolute blacks up a bit, add a node here to crush the shadow tones, and then bring the midtones and highlights up. So there we go. I hope that's shown you that if you mix up not just your editing but also your photography, you can get some really creative results. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the other video tutorials.